Wednesday night was the first joint practice between the Colts and the Bears. And the focus for this practice in 11 on 11 action and 7 on 7 action was calling plays at the line of scrimmage. And in this one, both the Bears and the Colts ran a 4-minute drill and a 2-minute drill near the end of practice. Okay, so with the situation laid out, the big question, of course, is how did Anthony Richardson perform against a different defense? And when it comes to 7 on 7 periods, it was up and down, honestly. He ended up throwing an interception to Eddie Jackson on a pass down the middle of the field that was intended for Josh Downs. Now, the reports that I've seen have said that it looked like there was probably a miscommunication between Anthony Richardson and Josh Downs. So we have that miscommunication thing coming up again. It happened in the game with Isaiah McKenzie and Anthony Richardson. It happened here. So again, this is going to continue to happen with this new offense, a lot of new players, and these two are rookies, right? Anthony Richardson and Josh Downs. So I expect it to continue to get better, but there are going to be mistakes along the way. Okay, but then you look at the 11 on 11 periods, and that's where Anthony Richardson turned in an extremely efficient day. Overall, he ended up finishing the 11 on 11 periods 15 for 19, which is 78.9%. Now, the defenses in this one, it seemed like were more focused on taking away the deep shots. So there was a lot of underneath work happening, especially for the Colts. Justin Fields took a couple more shots, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But for the most part, Anthony Richardson was dinking and dunking. That was basically the focus of the day, was just moving the chains and doing it efficiently. And again, they were doing all of this basically in hurry up. You know, they were calling plays at the line of scrimmage, especially when you're in the 4-minute offense and the 2-minute offense, right? You're calling plays pretty quickly. So we kind of, what you take away from that in practice is, not only is he getting the balls to where he needs to, and from, 15 of 19, he was definitely getting the balls where he needed to go, but also you're seeing, what are they wanting to do in these situations and who are they wanting to go to in these situations, right? So when we get into the season and we look at the Colts and when they're trying to push the ball down the field quickly, the guys that they're going to be looking at least, so far coming out of this practice, it was Michael Pittman Jr., who ended up having 4 catches. Kylan Granson and Josh Downs each had 3 catches. And everybody else that caught passes only had 1 catch. One of the guys was Alec Pierce, and then there were 3 running backs. And I thought an interesting note was that Kenyon Drake caught a pass from Anthony Richardson, and that means that Kenyon Drake is running with the first team, which is, my personal opinion. I love that. He should be on this team going into the season, especially with the JT situation. And even if Jonathan Taylor is on the team going into the season, Kenyon Drake needs to be on this roster. Okay, so to go back to the wide receivers real quick, Josh Downs, Michael Pittman Jr., Alec Pierce, and Ashton Doolin all, for the most part, dominated their one-on-ones against the Bears secondary players today. I saw a tweet from Jake Arthur, who does work for Sports Illustrated for the Colts, does a lot of stuff for the Colts, does a really good job. It's where I get most of this information on training camp, is when Jake Arthur puts his Sports Illustrated article out. But in the tweet, Jake Arthur said that the amount of cushion that one of the Bears DBs gave Alec Pierce was cartoonish, but Pierce was still able to win the rep and get the catch on a deep end route. So everything coming out of today's practice about the offense is basically that, the first team offense dominated is what it sounded like. Obviously there was a interception in 7 on 7s with Anthony Richardson, but, in my opinion, the fact that he does better in 11 on 11s tells me that he does better when the pressure's coming at him and when it's in real time. And I like that, because that also tells me that when it comes down to crunch time and in the fourth quarter and he needs to perform, it feels like he's the kind of guy that he's going to get better in those situations. And I absolutely love that. And I think that maybe the Colts realized that when they were, going through the draft process. And that was maybe one of the reasons that when they looked at Anthony Richardson, Chris Ballard truly believed that he was the best player in this draft. And I truly believe that. Okay. So with that, I want to talk about one of the best highlights of the day coming out of practice that happened late in 11 on 11 periods. And it came from the second team, actually. It was when Gardner Minshew got the ball to Isaiah McKenzie on the left side of the field. And Isaiah McKenzie made a hard cut and sent both of the defenders that were coming at him to the ground. And it was one of those plays where after it happened, like all the entire team, like players and coaches, everybody went nuts afterwards. So I thought it was good to mention this because I just wanted to say that you don't let the media tell you that we don't have wide receivers. Okay. We've had a quarterback problem for a few years. We currently don't have a wide receiver problem. We have Michael Pittman Jr., Alec Pierce, Isaiah McKenzie, Josh Downs, and it sounds like Ashton Doolin can do some things at wide receiver if we absolutely need him to. So we're set at wide receiver. We're set at tight end, man. We have plenty of pass catchers on this team. The media will try to tell you we don't, but I promise you they're wrong. Okay. We have a quarterback that's going to be able to get these balls to these guys anywhere on the field. Okay. Anywhere on the field within like 70 yards. So the offense should work just fine. We just got to get the communication down. That seems to be the problem with the offense right now is the communication. Okay, so the last offensive note I want to talk about is that the offense did not perform well in the run game at all. It was a terrible day in the run game. The offensive line did not perform well in today's practice. But the good news is that Braden Smith was back at practice, need him back. And then you have Will Fries, who gets hurt. And right guard has been an issue already. So having him hurt, not good. But something that could be good news is that in his stead, Arlington Hambright stepped in. And that's a name that I've heard throughout training camp, but he's still been a backup. So it's not something that I thought was prevalent, but I just kept him in the back of my mind just because, the right guard position is a problem. And he's actually a tackle, but he's a guy that we could see, like if he continues to impress now that he's rolling with the ones, then he's a guy that we could see just stay at the right guard position. And if he's any good at the right guard position, please, man, we need to solidify that position. And if we can do that, I honestly think we can turn this offensive line into one of the best in the NFL again. Okay. And with that said, let's talk about a little bit of defense here. And we're talking about the second year safeties, Nick Cross and Rodney Thomas. Okay. Nick Cross put his talent on display today. He had an interception in 7-on-7 work and an interception in 11 on 11 work. Okay, both those interceptions came off of tip balls. So what that tells me is that he's staying opportunistic. He's staying in the right place. He's doing his job of shadowing over the top and staying in a position where if it's a missed throw or if it's a tip ball, he can be in position to be able to go and make the play. Okay, and then you have Rodney Thomas, who, again, back at practice, came back this week, and he also had an interception in the 11 on 11 work. Okay, so that's kind of what I mentioned earlier when Justin Fields was taking shots. Like the offense for the Colts wasn't really taking shots. There was a lot of underneath work, but the Colts, they were playing to take away the deep ball, and they were able to take away the deep ball. They were able to come away with 3 interceptions, again, between 7-on-7 work and 11 on 11 work. And it's both of the second year guys. So as these guys continue to play together, the more time they get together in the back end of the defense, the better they're going to be. Okay. And when I envision it, I start to think like, hopefully this could be what Bob Sanders and Antoine Bethea were when they were both on the field. Okay. Hopefully we can keep these guys healthy and keep them on the field. But Antoine Bethea and Bob Sanders, like when Bob Sanders stayed healthy, we were able to win a Super Bowl. But also, we drafted Antoine Bethea the season we won the Super Bowl. So you work it together. We needed both those guys. I think Nick Cross and Rodney Thomas can be really, really good. Now, they're still, again, second-year guys. Rodney Thomas at least has some playing experience. Nick Cross, didn't play last year. So there could be, rookie mistakes happening this year. But again, I expect them to continue to get better. A lot of what I think about this team, I always say I think these guys are going to get better and they're going to get better. Like, yeah, this is the time of year we're all optimistic, of course, but also I have a lot of trust in this coaching staff. Like from Shane Steichen down, everybody that he acquired and the way he has things set up. The defensive coaching staff, all stayed in place. So I really trust the coaching staff to adjust to what happened last year and figure out how to make things better this year. And I also trust Chris Ballard and his staff in the way that they draft. So I expect things to be better this year, but I do expect with the team being so young, it'll be a little rocky. Okay, so with all that said, look, there's another practice tonight, another joint practice tonight, and I'll have another update for you guys on that practice tomorrow morning. And I expect tonight's practice to be a whole lot more physical. Okay, the offenses kind of dominated today's practice, so I expect the defenses to come with a little more juice in this one, and it's going to be a lot more physical. But we got to have both teams, it was a relatively healthy day of joint practice. I want both teams to come out of it with minimal to no injuries once again, right? Go into the game Saturday, everybody good to go, and then come out of the game with everybody good to go. That's what we all hope for, right? So, with that said, make sure you're subscribed so that you continue to get notified when there's more Colts news. When it comes out, I'll get it to you as soon as I possibly can. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other. Go Colts.